I've been supportive to you, and you're acting like the brat and you are, and that's why you are alone with no man can deal with it.
Wow, things have got very, very heated between practically everyone versus Natalie. But you know what? Jasmine's absolutely right. Sure, she may have found out that her boyfriend has been in Sophie's DMs, but that doesn't justify her wild behaviour.
Because you're hooker. You thought you was younger, but you
So you didn't invite her to it.
So, do you feel sorry for Natalie, or should she have seen this coming? What have I been saying for a few weeks now? Those in glass houses shouldn't be throwing stones? Well, Natalie's world has come crushing all around her. But before we get into that, let's rewind to the start. So, the tension has been brewing at the last resort ever since Sophie revealed that Josh had DM'd her in the past. He'd slid into her messages, of course unbeknown to Natalie, asking Sophie to come to Vegas with him. And while Natalie isn't yet aware of that situation, the truth is, maybe she senses it, because from the very off, she's been particularly catty towards Sophie. She's been saying things behind her back.
What did she say? Flirt with every man here. And she told me you have a plastic ass. That's true? No.
Maybe it's because Sophie's younger, maybe Natalie thinks Sophie's prettier, or maybe she's just picked up on the fact that her boyfriend might be attracted to Sophie. Whatever the reason, Natalie's decided that she doesn't like her one bit. But how's she gonna feel when she finally finds out about those messages?
Josh's messages towards me started off pretty friendly, but then I could tell that they were starting to get flirty. He's the one that messaged me. I didn't even reciprocate. She definitely shouldn't be talking rubbish about me behind my back.
Now, while Sophie, Julia and Ari are discussing the situation over breakfast, on the other table, Jasmine, Stacey, Natalie and Josh are discussing modelling. Remember, Josh works in the industry. That's in fact how he and Natalie first met. But Natalie begins publicly blaming Josh for the fact that she's not been signed to a modelling agency. She clearly expected Josh to pull some strings or do her a favour. But the fact is, she's got this habit of blaming the wrong people for her problems, doesn't she? I mean, it's not Josh's fault that agents don't want her, in exactly the same way that it's not Sophie's fault Josh is in her DMs, but we'll get to that shortly.
For some reason, he doesn't help me with anything.
What?
I think she has a misunderstanding. I put her in front of agencies, but I can't make the agent sign her.
Ouch, that's got to sting. But it's not exactly a lie, is it? Natalie has these grand visions for herself. She wants to be an actress, she wants to be a model, she wants to have kids, she wants the LA life, but she's expecting it all on a plate. Like, we've literally seen Josh try to set her up with jobs in the past, only for her to seemingly deliberately sabotage the interviews. I mean, Natalie has this sense of entitlement. She feels like she's deserving of things. But one person she doesn't think deserves things, one person she doesn't think very highly of, is Sophie. And that feeling is definitely mutual. Sophie doesn't like her either.
This morning, she came and sat next to Rob. And she grabbed Rob's arm and was like, "Oh, your tattoos are so hot." Right in front of me. And it was just them two and me. And I was like, are you kidding me right now?
Sophie's had enough of Natalie. She's had enough of her flirting with Rob and her attitude towards her. So now she's come up with her own plan for revenge. Her plan is to give Natalie a taste of her own medicine. You see, she reveals she intends to begin flirting with Josh directly in front of Natalie.
I think Natalie just has her own insecurities and she's just taking them out on me for literally no reason. She wants to play childish games. I'm very good at being childish and petty when I want to be.
I think, honestly, Sophie's spot on here, and I don't blame her. Tit for tat. Natalie is taking out her own insecurities on Sophie, and her insecurities stem from the fact that Josh has been stringing her along for 3 years. Say what you want about everyone else there, but they're all married. Natalie and Josh are the only non-married couple at the resort. Maybe that's what's playing on her mind. Maybe she's expecting more from Josh and just not getting it. Not a single word uttered in that scene, and yet that speaks volumes, doesn't it? There's Natalie, clearly clamouring for attention, clamouring for a kiss, and yet all Josh does is look away and laugh. Now, on the one hand, I do feel a little sorry for Natalie. This guy clearly isn't into her and everyone can see it but her herself. But then, on the other hand, this is entirely of her own doing. She's made her bed, she had a good guy in that bed, but she wasn't happy, she blew it all up. So now she reaps what she sows. And just to add further fuel to that fire, when they arrive at the nightclub, Josh delivers some bad news.
I have some family stuff I gotta take care of. Yeah.
Josh breaks the news to Natalie that tomorrow he'll be leaving. Now, the circumstances are tragic, right? Don't get me wrong. He's got to be there for his son. Absolutely right that he should. But I find it interesting that even before raising that with the woman he's there with, his partner, the woman he's meant to love, he's speaking about having kids with, he's gone and spoken to production about it first. Priorities, hey?
I honestly feel like Josh should have told me it privately, when there is no other people around and before we even got here.
Yeah, she's right. Josh should have spoken to her privately, but doesn't that show how little he regards her? I mean, just think about it. If I went somewhere with my partner and I had to leave, who would be the first person I'd tell? Well, it would be my partner, right? At this point, I'm finding it harder and harder to really believe that he cares for Natalie. It just seems like they're back together just so that he can milk and prolong his 15 minutes of fame. But now comes time for Sophie's mission to begin. And you've got to say, her timing isn't exactly great. Natalie's already annoyed, and now Sophie begins flirting with Josh.
Are you not drinking?
No,
Really? Why?
I don't drink.
How's it going with Natalie?
You know, it's going.
Yeah.
Eagle-eyed Natalie immediately notices that Sophie and Josh are talking, and she's not happy. Now, while the flirting is tame, right, there's nothing wild going on, it all looks just a little too cozy for Natalie's liking. But it's at this point that Jasmine sticks her nose in. You see, Jasmine tells Natalie about Josh's DMs to Sophie, and boy do things blow up.
I think that Josh likes Sophie.
He likes Sophie?
Ask him who did he invited to Vegas.
Now, should Jasmine be telling Natalie this? Is it her job? Is she just trying to stir up drama? Well, yes, yes, she is. But ultimately, right, let's not put the blame on anyone other than Josh and Natalie. Josh should never have sent those DMs in the first place, but Natalie shouldn't blame Sophie.
She's half naked. I mean, she doesn't even have underwear.
Like, sorry, Natalie, but get your own house in order before you go pointing at others. Josh was the one looking to invite her to Vegas, not the other way round. Yet Natalie isn't able to see this. Like, she just sees red.
I go like that. Oh, boy. I'm looking for a single guy. Any single guys here? My boyfriend is going to Vegas with a new hooker or whatever she is.
Now, having just witnessed his girlfriend's wild display, Josh, very, very reluctantly, goes to check on his girlfriend. He obviously doesn't want to have to deal with this, but sorry, Josh, this is who you've come on the show with. She's your meal ticket. She's your meal ticket to more screen time, so you better use those minutes wisely.
What is her name? I don't even know this naked girl name, just because. That you messaged her and you said, did he invite you to Vegas or no? Did he invite you to Vegas or no?
It's petty pretending not to know Sophie's name, but it's unclassy making jibes about her body, totally unnecessarily. Her anger towards Sophie is completely misdirected. She should be pointing fingers at Josh, the man whose house she hasn't even seen. And yet, for some inexplicable reason, it's Sophie who takes the brunt of this attack. But despite that, you've got to give props to Sophie for staying completely calm throughout.
I would never do this to you, to come to your husband and with a random guy in Vegas, because you you hooker. Normal woman would never do it.
Natalie.
Whoa, look, I understand that Natalie's upset, right? But I also think she hasn't fully understood what's happened. Like, from the way that she's talking, I think she thinks Josh and Sophie actually went to Vegas together. They didn't. Josh invited her, but Sophie turned the invitation down. Calling her a hooker is way out of line, especially when you think back to how badly Natalie reacted on the last tell-all she was on, when she mistakenly thought, that she'd been called a prostitute.
You ответила Ялга, but your
So
body
you
is
didn't
trash.
invite
And
her
you are
to
trash.
it.
Okay, I'm not phased by
Yeah,
it.
but
It's
it's
okay. I haven't done
I
anything
don't know
wrong.
anymore. You haven't. Maybe he likes you. But let's see.
All that Josh can do in this scenario is shake his head and say, my God. Now, I get that he's tired of Natalie's behaviour, right? But if he really cared about Natalie, if he was really at this resort for the right reasons, surely he'd be able to see how much his actions have hurt her. Surely he'd want to try and make things right. But he doesn't. There's none of that energy from him. And Natalie has had enough. She storms out of the venue, feeling entirely isolated and alone. Natalie's clearly in a state, right? So why isn't Josh following her outside to console her? Why isn't he caring for her? Like, all Josh focuses on is trying to clear the air with Rob and Sophie. He tries to backtrack on his obvious attempts at flirting with Sophie. Josh tries to claim that it was all entirely innocent.
There's never been any inappropriate conversations between me and Sophie. At all.
I've seen the conversations between them.
Yeah, we had
It was a
talked
little
about.
dicey.
It was.
So, were you or were you not flirting, Josh? Because he can't seem to make up his own mind. Now, Josh does tellingly go on to apologise anyway, and after clearing that up, he then first goes to check up on Ari, who's having a separate tough night of her own, and then after talking to practically every other cast member first, then he goes to check up on his girlfriend.
If you want as a woman, why you keep me?
I don't.
You want me to be an idiot, sacrifice my life because I'm honest and devotion idiot, the stupid, trash, idiot, dog, go away.
No, Natalie, no, you're asking the wrong question. If he wants other women, and you can see that, why do you stay? Natalie needs to look at herself in the mirror. She needs to ask why she keeps going back to him continuously like a yo-yo, even though all he does is push her away. Sorry, but the fact that these two are even on the last resort in itself is a joke. They have no relationship to save. They never have. They have about as much longevity as a TikTok trend. I mean, come on. Their relationship is about as real as Monopoly money. We can all see it. And that is why Natalie is acting the way she is. He's pushed her to her limits. He's broken her. And yet she still keeps coming back for more.
Invite me to Vegas right now.
You need to calm down.
No, invite me to Vegas.
Absolutely not.
You invite hookers to Vegas.
No way.
Natalie resorts to stamping her feet and pouting like a 5-year-old. She demands to be taken to Vegas, and it's just so desperate. It's so humiliating. I don't know why she keeps on doing this to herself. Like, why doesn't she find herself a man who wants to take her to Vegas, rather than a man she has to beg? Now, this has all got too much for her. Natalie decides it's time to leave. But on her way out, as she's walking past Sophie, she can't help herself. She can't help but let out her frustrations one last time.
Yeah. I'm so glad. Oh.
Look, I feel bad for Sophie here. I know she deliberately tried to rile Natalie up, right, with the flirting, but Natalie has taken this way too far. What she just did, smashing glass like that, could have really hurt someone. And just a reminder, Sophie didn't actually do anything with Josh. Now, fortunately, no one is hurt by the glass, but some of Sophie's drink has spilt on Jasmine. So Jasmine stands up and follows Natalie outside. She wants an apology. Only Natalie's response to her only antagonises Jasmine even more.
You started, you fix it. Where's my car? Where's car?
Listen, you are not gonna play these games with me.
Ah, hell no! Jasmine's not taking that. Yeah, she may have told Natalie the information that the whole cast were gossiping about, but she absolutely will not be taking responsibility for Natalie and Josh's shitty relationship. Jasmine definitely won't put up with being spoken to that way, and I respect it. I respect her for having the balls to say what no one else will.
Don't play these games with me. I didn't start, and it's not my fault that you are with a dude that doesn't give a about you.
This might not be the best time for Natalie to hear it, but this is exactly what she needs to hear. It's no one else's fault. Stop looking outside your relationship for people to blame. Natalie's behaviour tonight was absolutely unacceptable, and Jasmine lets her know that in no uncertain terms. She lets her know that she has taken this very, very personally.
You throw a glass on my feet and you are gonna apologize. You are gonna apologize. You are gonna apologize right now, Natalie. You wanna meet with crazy? I'm crazier.
Out of that whole cast, probably the last person I'd want to fight is Jasmine. You just know she'd be wild in a fight. No holds barred. She'd bite, scratch, pull your hair. She's one of those fighters, isn't she? And while Jasmine won't get what she wants just by demanding it, she is right. Natalie's behaviour has been inexcusable, from degrading Sophie to the screaming and the theatrics. She really does owe everyone an apology.
I've been supportive to you and you're acting like the brat and bitch you are, and that's why you are alone with no man can deal with it.
Ouch, that was a low blow. That's exactly what I'm talking about with Jasmine in a fight. No holds barred. Now, what she said is true. Like, Natalie has been a brat. Her behaviour is the reason why she's alone. But still, there's a right and a wrong way to say it to her. That must have been hard for her to hear. But is she actually absorbing this? Is it sinking in? Or, as usual, is it going in one ear and out the other? Does Natalie see herself as the victim here? I think her face tells you everything you need to know, don't you?